From the sandy shores of Disney's Polynesian Village Resort, or from the decks of the ferry boat making its cheerful journey to the Magic Kingdom, you can see it. There, in the middle of Bay Lake, the central artery of Walt Disney World, sits a lush, wild, and strangely silent island. It appears on no park maps. No boats travel to its shores carrying laughing guests. A man from Alabama was arrested after he was discovered to be living on the abandoned island, camping out in one of its decaying buildings. He had been there for several days, calling it a tropical paradise and claiming he was completely unaware that he was trespassing, despite the numerous warnings. A piece of Disney history that has been left to rot, yet is guarded as if it still holds a precious secret. Unlike its abandoned neighbor, River Country, which was eventually bulldozed and erased, Discovery Island remains. It is a permanent, wild feature on the map of Walt Disney World, a tangible piece of the past that the company has chosen to preserve but keep forever out of reach. In this investigation, we will pull back the curtain of leaves and vines. We will uncover the island's history, from its swashbuckling origins as a pirate hideout to its noble life as a zoological sanctuary. We will explore the reasons for its sudden closure, the ambitious future it almost had, and the haunting legacy it has created in its long, silent abandonment. The file is now open on the secrets of Disney's Forbidden Island. The story went viral, a bizarre headline in a strange time, and it reintroduced the world to a question that Disney fans have been asking for decades. Why does Disney have a forbidden island, and what secrets are they protecting within its overgrown jungles? It is a tantalizing piece of the landscape that is completely and strictly off-limits. Something left behind from its former life as a bustling zoological park? The stories told by the few urban explorers who have successfully breached its security are the stuff of legend. They speak of a place frozen in time, where nature has violently reclaimed civilization. They describe empty animal cages rusting in the humid air, eerie, preserved specimens left behind in abandoned veterinary labs, and the ghostly silence of pathways once filled with the sounds of exotic birds. This is Discovery Island, a place that has earned a far more potent and alluring name among fans, Disney's Forbidden Island. For over 20 years, this 11-acre piece of land has been the subject of intense speculation, rumor, and mystery. Its shores are actively patrolled by Disney security boats, which will quickly intercept any curious guest who steers their rental watercraft too close. No trespassing signs, some visible from the water, stand as stark warnings. This is not a place you are meant to explore. This strict prohibition has only fueled its legend, turning the island into a real-life mystery sitting in the very heart of the world's most popular tourist destination. The island's forbidden nature was thrust into the international spotlight in April of 2020. Is it merely a forgotten piece of property, too costly to redevelop? Or is there something else there? This is a case file about a place you can see, but cannot touch. Before it was a forbidden ruin, and even before it was a celebrated zoological park, the island in the middle of Bay Lake was born from the pages of a classic adventure story. Its first identity was one of swashbuckling pirates, buried treasure, and high seas adventure. When the park first opened its shores to guests on April 8, 1974, it was not called Discovery Island. It was known as Treasure Island, a direct and deliberate homage to the 1950 Walt Disney live-action film, which was itself an adaptation of the timeless novel by Robert Louis Stevenson. The concept was charmingly simple. As an attraction, it was largely passive. Beyond exploring the ship and walking the pathways, there wasn't a great deal for guests to do. It was more of a scenic exhibit than a dynamic park. In the hot Florida sun, the novelty could wear off quickly. As a result, the island never became the major crowd pleaser that Disney had hoped for. It was a half-day attraction at best, and it struggled to justify its existence as a standalone, ticketed experience. The island was to be a physical manifestation of the story, a place where guests could step into the world of Long John Silver and Jim Hawkins. The pirate theme, while romantic, was simply not enough. They needed a different kind of treasure to lure visitors across the water. By 1976, just 2 years after it opened, the decision was made to pivot. the pirate skeletons would be removed, and the focus would shift from fictional adventure to the wonders of the natural world. The island was about to be reborn, its pirate past buried to make way for a new identity, one that would feature living treasures from all corners of the globe. Treasure Island was about to become Discovery Island. The experience was designed to be rustic, rugged, and a world away from the polished fantasy of the nearby Magic Kingdom. Upon arriving by boat, guests would find themselves in a place that felt marooned in time. The theme was that of a pirate stronghold, a secret hideout littered with the remnants of a buccaneer's life. The undeniable centerpiece of the entire island was the magnificent, full-sized wreck of a pirate ship, the Walrus. This was the very ship from the Treasure Island story, and it was masterfully recreated by Disney's Imagineers to look as if it had been violently shipwrecked on the island's shore decades ago. There was a stockade-like structure known as Ben Gunn's Fort, named after the castaway from the novel. There were rickety wooden watchtowers that guests could climb for a better view of the surrounding lake. And there were eerie, atmospheric touches, like scattered pirate chests and the skeletal remains of unlucky buccaneers, half buried in the sand, a grim warning to any who might try to steal their treasure. The entire island was a carefully crafted diorama, a walk-through adventure designed to evoke a spirit of exploration. Its masts were splintered, its sails were tattered, and its hull was breached, listing permanently in the sand. For guests, it was an incredible photo opportunity and the ultimate playground for the imagination. You could almost hear the ghosts of pirates shouting from its decaying decks. The rest of the island was dotted with locations pulled straight from the lore of piracy and adventure. However, despite its charming theme and beautiful execution, Treasure Island had a fundamental problem. Disney executives quickly realized that a new, more engaging concept was needed to draw guests to the island and keep them there. In 1978, 2 years after its official name change, the island completed its transformation. The last vestiges of its pirate past were scrubbed away, and it was reborn with a new, more noble purpose. It was no longer a fictional adventure land, but a living, breathing testament to the wonders of the natural world. Giant Galapagos tortoises, ancient and slow-moving, roamed in their spacious enclosures. In 1980, the park became the last hope for a critically endangered subspecies of bird, the Dusky Seaside Sparrow. Native to the salt marshes of Florida's Merritt Island, the Dusky's habitat had been decimated by development and pollution. By the late 1970s, the population had collapsed. In a last-ditch effort to save the subspecies from vanishing forever, the remaining 5 known individuals, all of them male, were captured and brought to a special, protected facility on Discovery Island. Flocks of vibrant pink flamingos waded in the lagoons. Playful lemurs from Madagascar leaped through the branches, but one by one, the old birds began to die off. Soon, only one remained. His name, given to him by conservationists, was Orange Band. For years, he lived alone in his enclosure on Discovery Island, the very last of his kind on Earth. He became a symbol of extinction, a living ghost. He would sing his species' song, but there were no females to hear it. On June 17, 1987, Orange Band died of old age. With his passing, the Dusky Seaside Sparrow was officially declared extinct. The final chapter of their entire species' history was written on the small, beautiful island in the heart of Walt Disney World. This somber event added a profound layer of real-world gravitas to the park's mission. It was no longer just a place of entertainment, it was a place that had borne witness to the fragility of life itself, a truth that would soon be reflected in the island's own fate. And strange, beautiful birds like the scarlet ibis and the toucan could be seen throughout the park. It was a small but meticulously curated collection, designed to delight and educate guests about the importance of biodiversity. Discovery Island was a quiet success, an award-winning park that offered a peaceful, natural counterpoint to the thrilling rides and bustling crowds of the Magic Kingdom. For over 2 decades, it was a beloved jewel in the Disney World crown. Discovery Island was now a fully accredited zoological park, recognized by the American Association of Zoological Parks and Aquariums for its high standards of animal care and its dedication to conservation. This was not just a retheming, it was a complete change in philosophy. The island had evolved from a place of fantasy into a place of education and preservation. The guest experience was transformed. The island became a lush, tranquil paradise, a botanical garden teeming with exotic life. The pathways wound through dense tropical foliage, leading guests on a journey of exploration through different ecosystems. The centerpiece of the park was the magnificent walk-through aviary, a massive structure covered by a fine mesh net that soared over the treetops. Inside, guests could walk among hundreds of free-flying, brilliantly colored birds from all over the world. It was an immersive experience, a chance to be surrounded by the sights and sounds of a tropical jungle. Beyond the aviary, the island was home to an impressive and diverse collection of animals. But amidst the story of life and conservation, Discovery Island became the final stage for one of the most poignant extinction stories of the 20th century. The hope was to crossbreed them with a closely related subspecies and preserve at least some of their unique genetic lineage. For 2 decades, Discovery Island held a unique and cherished place in the Walt Disney World Resort. It was the company's sole zoological park, a testament to its commitment to conservation and the natural world. It was envisioned as a park on a scale never before attempted, a revolutionary hybrid that would blend the immersive, detailed storytelling of a theme park with the scope and mission of a world-class zoo. It would not just be a place to see animals, it would be a place to be transported into their world, complete with thrilling rides, spectacular live shows, and vast, naturalistic habitats. It was now in direct competition with a newer, bigger, and infinitely more exciting version of itself, operated by the same company. Why would guests choose to pay for a separate boat ticket to visit a small island with a limited collection of animals when they could pay for a full park ticket and experience the grandeur of Animal Kingdom? There was no logical or financial reason for Disney to continue operating 2 zoological parks. The smaller, older, and less profitable park was now a relic, an echo of a past ambition that had been superseded. The fate of the original Discovery Island was sealed not by any tragedy or failure, but by a straightforward and unsentimental business decision. A new kingdom had risen, and there was no longer any room on the map for the small, quiet island that had come before it. The smaller park's unique selling proposition, to be Disney's home for live animals and conservation, was completely and utterly absorbed by the new park's mission statement. In a clever but fatal nod to the past, the central hub area of the new Animal Kingdom Park, the island that connects all the other lands, was even named Discovery Island. The name itself had been co-opted, its legacy transferred to its bigger, better replacement. The comparison was brutal. Discovery Island was a quiet, walk-through park that you could experience in an hour or 2. Animal Kingdom was a destination, home to attractions like Countdown to Extinction, a high-tech thrill ride back to the age of the dinosaurs, and the Kilimanjaro Safaris, a sprawling expedition where guests rode in open-air vehicles across a massive savanna teeming with real giraffes, elephants, lions, and rhinos. But the Walt Disney Company, particularly under the leadership of CEO Michael Eisner in the 1990s, was defined by a relentless drive for expansion and innovation. This period, often called the Disney Decade, saw the company thinking on a bigger, more ambitious scale than ever before. And it was this ambition that would ultimately seal Discovery Island's fate. The quiet, intimate sanctuary was about to be rendered obsolete by the arrival of a new, continental-sized kingdom. The idea for a park centered on live animals had been a dream of Walt Disney himself, but the concept that would become Disney's Animal Kingdom was something else entirely. On June 20, 1995, Disney officially announced the project, and on Earth Day, April 22, 1998, Disney's Animal Kingdom opened its gates. The sheer scale of the new park was staggering. At over 500 acres, it was more than 5 times the size of the Magic Kingdom and dwarfed Discovery Island's quaint 11 acres. The park was a full-day experience, a sprawling continent of adventure divided into distinct lands. Its centerpiece was the magnificent Tree of Life, a 14-story artificial tree covered in the intricate carvings of hundreds of animals. It's a stunning piece of artistry and engineering that made the wreck of the walrus seem like a forgotten relic. The opening of Animal Kingdom created an immediate and unsolvable problem for Discovery Island. From a business perspective, the redundancy was undeniable. The writing was on the wall. The opening of Animal Kingdom was not just the arrival of a competitor, it was the arrival of an heir apparent. The opening of Animal Kingdom in 1998 marked the beginning of the end for Discovery Island. The park's fate was sealed, and for the next year, it operated as a ghost of its former self, its attendance dwindling as guests flocked to the massive new park on the mainland. On April 8, 1999, exactly 25 years to the day after it first opened as Treasure Island, Discovery Island welcomed its last guests. The final voyage had been made. The park was now permanently closed to the public. Players found themselves stranded on a beautiful but eerily deserted island, filled with strange, intricate machinery and cryptic, handwritten journals. It was an incredibly ambitious and innovative concept. Guests would be brought to the island and set loose to explore its dense, jungle-like environment. The old zoological park structures would be rethemed into the strange, steampunk-style buildings from the game. The experience would be highly interactive and deeply cerebral. Guests would have to solve complex environmental puzzles, manipulating levers, deciphering symbols, and uncovering clues hidden in the landscape to unlock the island's narrative and progress through its story. It would have been a complete departure from any other Disney attraction, an experience that valued intellect and patience over passive viewing or simple thrills. The goal was to explore the island, decipher its secrets, and piece together the story of what had happened there. The idea of a physical space dedicated to intellectual puzzle solving was a bold vision for a theme park. But ultimately, the project was quietly abandoned. The exact reasons have never been officially stated, but it's likely a combination of factors. The cost of redeveloping the island and creating the complex, interactive technology required would have been immense. Furthermore, there may have been serious concerns about the attraction's capacity and its niche appeal. Would enough guests have the patience for a slow-paced, difficult puzzle-solving experience to make it profitable? In the end, the MYST project was shelved, and with it, the only concrete plan for the island's future. It was a lost future, a bold idea that vanished, leaving the island with no purpose at all. It was not just closed, it was now truly adrift. The game was a global phenomenon, renowned for its stunning graphics, its immersive atmosphere, and its intelligent, challenging puzzles. The first and most important task was the careful and complex process of decommissioning the zoological park. This was not like closing a regular theme park where rides are simply switched off. The question was what to do with it. The logical assumption was that it would be redeveloped into something new. And for a brief, exciting moment, it seemed that the island was destined for a future that was even more strange and mysterious than its pirate past. Disney began a collaboration with Cyan Worlds, the creators of one of the most popular and influential computer games of the 1990s, MYST. This involved the relocation of hundreds of living, breathing animals. Over the next few months, Disney's animal care experts worked meticulously to transport the island's entire population. The vast majority of the animals, from the exotic birds in the aviary to the playful lemurs, and the ancient Galapagos tortoises, were carefully crated and moved to their new, state-of-the-art homes at Disney's Animal Kingdom. Some were integrated into the habitats along the Kilimanjaro safaris, while others found homes in the various walking trails and exhibits, including the park's own Discovery Island hub. The remaining animals were transferred to other accredited zoological parks across the country. By July of 1999, the last animal had been relocated. The island, once teeming with life and sound, fell completely silent. Now, Disney was left with a prime piece of real estate, a private, 11-acre island in the center of its flagship resort. MYST was a revolutionary game. It was not a game of action or combat, but one of quiet, atmospheric exploration and complex puzzle solving. The plan was to transform the now empty Discovery Island into a real-life version of MYST Island. The project progressed far enough that concept art was created, and models were built. With the ambitious MYST project shelved, Discovery Island entered its final and most legendary phase. It was no longer a park awaiting a new theme, it was now truly abandoned. For the next 2 decades, Disney made the conscious decision to do nothing with it at all. The island was left to the mercy of the Florida climate, a silent, 11-acre experiment in what happens when a meticulously crafted human environment is completely surrendered to the forces of nature. Under the cover of darkness, they would slip into the waters of Bay Lake and make the several hundred-foot swim across the channel. They documented a world that was both beautiful and deeply unsettling. In what appeared to be a former veterinary clinic or lab, explorers found old employee photos tacked to a bulletin board, a ghostly reminder of the people who once worked there. Even more bizarrely, they found medical supplies, paperwork, and most disturbingly, preserved animal specimens left behind in jars, snakes and other creatures floating in murky formaldehyde, forgotten relics of the island's scientific past. It was as if the inhabitants had vanished in an instant, leaving everything behind. They found that the lights, and even the refrigerators in the staff kitchen, were still running on electricity, adding a surreal, Mary Celeste quality to the entire experience. These images, shared on blogs and forums in the early days of the internet, created a powerful mythology. Discovery Island was no longer just a closed park, it was a lost world, a place of ghosts and secrets, a real-life horror movie set in the happiest place on Earth. They found the park's old entrance, the ticket booth still standing, covered in vines. They walked through the skeletal remains of the aviary, a cathedral of rust and ruin. They discovered the abandoned animal enclosures, their cages empty, their signs still legible, naming species that had not lived there for years. This was not a casual dip in a lake. Bay Lake is a dark, deep body of water, known to be home to alligators and venomous snakes. More pressingly, it is constantly patrolled by Disney's security boats. Getting caught meant, at minimum, a lifetime ban from all Disney properties and potential criminal charges for trespassing. But for these explorers, the pull of the island's secrets was stronger than the fear of its consequences. It became a real-life time capsule, a place where the world of 1999 was left to slowly dissolve into the wilderness. The process of decay was swift and dramatic. The same subtropical humidity that makes Florida a paradise for plant life makes it a nightmare for unattended structures. Paint peeled, wood rotted, and metal rusted. The great aviary, once a marvel of engineering, became a tattered skeleton. Its fine mesh netting, torn by storms and falling branches, hung in ghostly tatters, allowing the jungle to grow up and through it. The pathways, once neatly swept, disappeared under a thick carpet of leaves, dirt, and weeds. The buildings that once housed veterinary services and staff facilities became dark, mold-infested shells, their windows broken, their interiors littered with the debris of a hasty departure. This forbidden, decaying world, sitting in plain sight yet completely inaccessible, became an irresistible challenge for the growing community of urban explorers. The allure was immense. In a world where every square inch of the Disney property is controlled, monitored, and curated, Discovery Island represented the ultimate anomaly. It was a wild, untamed zone, a real-life adventure far more authentic than the pirate theme it had once hosted. But reaching it was an adventure in itself, fraught with very real dangers. The most famous accounts come from explorers who undertook the only feasible route to the island's shores. They swam. The stories and photographs they brought back are what built the modern legend of Discovery Island. Perhaps the most haunting discoveries were made inside the abandoned buildings. The story of Discovery Island is a strange and tangled one. It is a tale of shifting identities, from a pirate hideout to a zoological sanctuary, and from a bold, unrealized future to a legendary modern ruin. The opening of Disney's Animal Kingdom in 1998, a park that did everything Discovery Island did but on a continental scale, made the smaller park immediately redundant. It was a classic case of creative destruction, where a company's own innovation renders its past achievements obsolete. There was no single tragic event, no dark conspiracy that led to its shutdown. It was simply superseded. It is a reminder that beneath the polished veneer of the most magical place on Earth, there are layers of history, forgotten dreams, and stories that have been deliberately left behind. It is a tangible piece of the past that has been allowed to exist, but not to be experienced. Unlike the story of a vanished person or a lost treasure, the mystery here is not about finding something that is missing. It is about understanding something that is right there in front of us, yet forever out of reach. It is Disney's very own Forbidden Island, a permanent monument to a lost chapter, its secrets guarded not by pirates, but by time, nature, and a fleet of security boats. The case may be closed, but the island remains, its final story yet to be written. We have explored its celebrated life and its long, silent death. And now, we must close the file. Its abandoned neighbor, River Country, was also left to decay for nearly 2 decades, but its story eventually came to a definitive end with the arrival of demolition crews. The land was scraped clean, its ruins erased to make way for a new project. Discovery Island, however, has been treated differently. To this day, the structures remain. The empty cages, the overgrown pathways, the skeletal remains of the aviary, they are all still there, hidden beneath a thick canopy of trees. Disney has made no move to demolish it, nor have they announced any concrete plans for its future. They have chosen to let it be. But unlike many of our cases, this one does not end with a clean resolution or a definitive answer. It ends with a tangible, enduring mystery that you can still see today. The reason for the park's closure is, in the end, not a mystery at all. It was a straightforward and logical business decision. The true mystery of Discovery Island is not why it closed, but why it was left to stand for so long. This decision has transformed the island into something unique within the Disney universe. It is a permanent, physical scar on the otherwise flawless face of the resort. It is a wild, untamed wilderness in the heart of the most meticulously controlled environment on Earth. The constant security patrols that guard its shores only add to its mystique, suggesting that what lies within is something to be protected, or perhaps, something to be hidden. In the end, Discovery Island stands as a powerful symbol. If you want to explore more of history's most fascinating closed cases, subscribe to the Archivist and click the bell so you never miss a file.